Good morning, Rabbi Isai. The Nishmasimi Merosi Rusvas Mordechai live from Greece, from Athens, from Yavon. We're holding 10 lines from the bottom of Daf Pei and the Beis, and Beis Hashem will catch up to where we're going to be caught up to. Yesterday was really bad. We started the shir on the top of Ayin Testament Beis. Now we're making our way. We're talking about Oisei Vesbinoi. The Isser to Shecht, a mother and her offspring, a father and his offspring, according to Chananya, and we pass like that. As the Gemara, there's another Isser. When you shecht the second animal, you shecht the mother and then the son, or you shecht the son and then the mother. It doesn't matter in what order. When you shecht the second one, it's Mechusar Zman. V'likin nami mishum the Mechusar Zman. We're talking about Korbanos. You're not allowed to bring the second one as a carbon at all. You have to wait. And since you brought it, you should be over on another Isra. And therefore, instead of getting 39 Malchus, you should get 78. You should get double the amount of Malchus. You're over on a lav called Lo Yiratza. It says Sarua v'Kolud. Sarua is when one leg is longer than the other, like in this depiction. The kolot is when the hooves are not split. So if you bring a carbon like that, leave it al absalom shubashav shubaseh shubalo yiratza yoiver lo yiratza. Leave it al absalom shubashav shubaseh yiratza. Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. Kika chashiv lavid oisiv is benoi. You're right. He's over. But I'm only counting whatever has to do with our sugya of Oisiv is Benoi. Lavin uchroi, side lavim, like a chashav, I'm not counting. We're not talking about that right now. As the Gemara of Eloi, v'kachim bachutz, lavin uchroi ninu v'kachashav. But we are talking all these cases that we're actually going to speak about more today. Remember, yesterday we were speaking about this, for instance, this chart right over here, of one carbon inside, one carbon outside, and these are isurim, kares, and lav of shechting karbanis outside of the Beis Hamikdash. V'kachashiv, v'kachim b'chutz, lavin uchroinin v'kachashiv. Diktani kachim b'chutz, harishin chayiv kares, v'shneim p'savkim sarbayim. So let's maybe go to the real case. Let me see if I can find it here real quickly. Here, Kachim Achutz, very good, this guy. So when you shech two korbanos outside of the Beis Hamikdash, so on the first one you're over kares, and there's a lav. So says the Gemara here, we're talking about this lav of outside, nothing to do with the Oisev is Benai. This is a lav of shechting Kachim outside of the Beis Hamikdash. You're right. The second one, okay. Why does the first one get malchus? Lav the shchutei chutz. Isn't it because of the lav of shchutei chutz? Says the Gemara, you're right. If there's nothing else to count, so I'll tell you the other lav, the one that's not important to our sugya. But anything that does have a lav of oisiv benoi, which is our sugya, then I'm not going to talk about side lavim. So in our case, when there's the lav of oisiv benoi, and that's what we're concerned with. So I'm not going to tell you, and by the way, there's another lav. That's not important. But if one of the korbanos doesn't have any lav at all, there's no oisiv benoi. The first one doesn't have oisiv benoi. The first one you're allowed to shecht. You're allowed to shecht the mother. You're just not allowed to shecht the son after you shecht the mother. So when you shechted the mother, there's another lav because you did it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So then I mentioned the other lav. Okay, aside sugya. Reb Zeira Omar, and that's today's daf. You know why there's no malchus? Because it's not a lav. In order to get malchus, it has to be a loisasei. It has to be a negative. This is a positive. It's an aveira that's a positive. Why? The Torah says they could only shecht an animal from the 8th day on. Miyom Hashmini in Mikar Eloi. From the 8th day and forward, you have a positive, meaning if it's less than 8 days, then it's a negative. Mikar Eloi. So therefore, Lav Avo Meklal Asay, Asay. This is not a lav. This is really an asay. It's a positive commandment. It's a mitzvah asay to not shecht before the 8th day. And if you do, you're over on an asay. Taisa says this is not a typical lav and nitik asay. Typically speaking, the classic is when a person steals, so v'heishav is agzela. There's a remedy to what you did. Over here, it's not a remedy. It has nothing to do. You should bring a carbon on the 8th day, and if you bring a carbon on the 7th day, you're over. Ask the Gemara, but this pasuk of Miyom Hashmini v'Hala, I need it for something else. Look at the Rabbi Ab Toriki, Rami, he asked a contradiction. An animal, remember, animal has to be at least 8 days old, but it says in the pasuk you should be 7 days by the mother. Mashma, that the end of the 7th day, the beginning of the 8th day, that evening, it's mutter. That's on the one hand. Halayla chazi. At night, it's okay. Uchsev, and it says, Miyom Hashmini v'Hala yiratza. It says, but only from the 8th day on is it okay. So which one is it? Is it the 7th day at night or the 8th day in the morning? Contradiction. Miyom Hashmini v'Hala in Laila Loi. Oh, okay, tzad. So what do we do to fix this contradiction? Laila ligdusha. The 7th day, once the 7th day is over, that night, you could be mekadosh. You could say this is a carbon. You could be magdash it. Yaim, but the morning, 8th morning, that's lahartzah. That's to bring the carbon. Akoparim, I need this pasuk to tell me that at night you are magdash a carbon. You say this is going to be a noila, and in the morning you bring it. Says the Gemara, ksiv krachrino king tasel sharcha l'tzoinecha. You're right, but there's a very similar pasuk, a second pasuk, and that allows us to learn both limudim. That, first of all, it's a lav hanitik lasei. It's not a pure lav; it's more like a positive commandment rather than a negative, and therefore there's no malchus. And the other thing is we're going to learn that you could be mekadesh, magdish, a carbon at night, and you bring it in the morning. And now we're going to go back to the sukkah that we had yesterday. Omar Rav Amnuna, Oimer Hoyer Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon by Yochai, we said, Ein oisoi ve'ez benoi noyeg b'kodashim. Says Rav Amnuna, and I mentioned it at the end of Shir yesterday, and it comes out that according to Reb Shimon by Yochai, there is no isser of shechting a mother and her son the same day when it comes to karbanos. Why? Because Reb Shimon by Yochai holds that in order to be over on Oisves B'nai, we know you have to shecht the mother and then you have to shecht the son. You can't kill the mother and shecht the son. You have to shecht. All of them have to be shechted. But the thing is, according to Reb Shimon bar Yochai, the shechita has to be a shechita that's roi for eating. It has to be a shechita that accomplishes that you could eat. So let me ask you a question. What if you shecht an animal, according to Reb Shimon bar Yochai, and you find out that it's a treifa, you can't eat it? Is it also to shecht the son? And the answer is no. We're going to learn today in the Mishnah, at least according to the Mishnah, that when you shecht a treifa and you find out it's treif, there's no issue to continue in shechting the son because it's not a shechita that made it available for eating. Oh. So Rav Shimon bar Yochai says by a carbon, when you shecht it, it's not available for eating right away because you have to throw the blood. And that's another step. But at the first step of shechita, at that point, it wasn't available for eating, and therefore it's not considered a shechita for eating. So let's see inside. My time, it has to be raw, it has to be available for eating. Otherwise, it's not considered a shechita. Since when it comes to carbon, you have to throw the blood, you have to sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, and until you do so, it's not a good carbon. So meila shechita at that point is not a good shechita. Masav Rava. So Rava asks a kasha, oisav es benoi kadashim b'chutz. Oh, so let's go back to that case that we had before. And let's do this together. Let's play the game. Rabbi Yisai, you have two animals that are karbanas, and you shechted both of them, the mother and the son, outside of the Beis Hamikdash. So the mother, when you shechted the mother, you're over on shchutei chutz. You get kares, malchus. But according to Reb Shimon, it's not a good shechita. If it's not a good shechita, then there's no isser of Eisev's benai. And if it's not a good shechita, it's available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. The son is available, the second carbon is available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. So let's see the Gemara. Masiv Rav Eisev's benai kadoshim b'chutz. You have two karbanos outside the Beis Hamikdash. Reb Shimon Omer sheni b'lo yisaseh. You get malchus on the second one. Shahayir Reb Shimon Omer, and that the Gemara is going to ask right away, what do you mean malchus? You should get kares. You shechted an available animal that you could shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash. Because according to Chachamim, the second one is not available to shecht in the Beis Hamikdash. So you don't get kares on the second one for shechting it outside of the Beis Hamikdash because it's not available carbon. But according to Reb Shimon, the second one you could shecht today in the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because the mother doesn't count. The shechita doesn't count. So the second one has nothing to do with the first one. So since it's available, you should get kares. That's Gemara's question in a second. Since it's going to become available soon, so then it's a you get malchus, which we have to understand. No, if you don't get kares, you don't get the lav for shechting outside of Yisrael. And we asked the question: the second one is only a lav. The first one you never shechted because the shechita doesn't count. So the shechita is considered a bullet to the head. It's like killing the animal. It's not a shechita. It's as if you killed it. So if you killed it, sheni mikabel v'nimu. So therefore, the second one is available to be shechted today, right away in the Beis Hamikdash. And you didn't shecht it in the Beis Hamikdash. Where did you shecht it? Like in this chart, you shechted it outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Oh, so you should get kares on the second one, just like you get in the first one. Kares not in the chayv. So Rava answers, V'amri lo kedi, and some say just an anonymous. Chesuri mechser Rav Achikitani, you're right, it's missing a word or two. Kadashim shneim b'chutz, the Rabbanon Rishon Onish Kares, Sheni, Pasol, Upater Meladish Chutei. Like we said before, that according to Chachamim, the first one you get kares, the second one you pater from Shchutei Chutz. But we have to point this out. You're pater from Shchutei Chutz, but you are chayv according to Chachamim on Oisev's Benai. You shechted the first one, it's a good shechita according to Chacham. Only according to Reb Shimon it's not a good shechita. According to Chacham it's a good shechita. And then you shechted the son that same day. You're chayiv and Oisev's Benai. What you're not chayiv for is the kares and the lav for shechting outside the Beis Hamikdash. Why? Because the second one is not available according to Chachamim to bring today to the Beis Hamikdash. But according to Reb Shimon, shneim anushim kares. But according to Reb Shimon, since the first one's shechita is not a real shechita, it doesn't affect the second one, and the second one is available in the Beis Hamikdash, and you shechted it outside the Beis Hamikdash, boom, you get kares for the second one. Now, another case. Here, this is Reb Shimon. Let's just see Reb Shimon. According to Reb Shimon, you get kares and malchus even for the second one. Echad b'chutz ve'echad b'fnim. If you shecht, chart 22. If you shecht carbon number one outside, so let's do the math. You shecht the first one outside, so what happens? You get kares and malchus of shechting outside. The second one that you shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash is not available to shecht right now, so you don't get the kares and the malchus. But according to Reb Shimon, the second one is available to shecht inside the Beis Hamikdash, and you shecht it inside the Beis Hamikdash. Perfect, beautiful. It's kosher v'yasher. So let's see inside. The first one you get kares. Sheni pasel upater. The second one is not available for the Beis Hamikdash, so it's pasel, but you pater. The Reb Shimon, you pater. Why? Because you didn't shecht shchutei chutz. It's not available, so it's not a real carbon. The Reb Shimon, sheni kosher. The second one is perfect. Okay. But according to Reb Shimon, there's no eis of his benai. Why? Because the first one that you shechted, there's no shechita. It's considered killing. And when you kill the mother and then you shecht the son, you're not over an eis of his benai. What about if you reversed it? You did the first one inside the Beis Hamikdash and the second one outside the Beis Hamikdash. Givaldik. First one inside the Beis Hamikdash is beautiful. It's perfect. Second one outside the Beis Hamikdash, according to Chachamim, you over noise of his benai. According to Reb Shimon, there's no noise of his benai. Chayiv kares. Let's see. Region kosher potter. The first one is perfect. Sheni pasol potter. The Reb Shimon sheni beloy sasa. What's the loy sasa? Of noise of his benai. Why? Wait a minute. Rav Amnuna said there's no ois of his benai when it comes to kachim according to Reb Shimon. When it comes to karbanas, there's no ois of his benai because everything is considered a non-shchita. It's not a good shchita. Why? Because you can't eat it. The first animal wasn't considered a shchita at all. So you should get kares for shechting the animal outside of the Beis Hamikdash. This is what he meant. Typically speaking, shchita helps that what shchita you wouldn't have oisev benoi. So there's no malchus oisev benoi b'kachim, no b'kachim. Even the kavod lezarik dam lemishter basar, because as long as you don't throw the blood, you're not allowed to eat the meat. And when you do, and when you shech the animal, we don't know if you're going to throw the blood or not. Some people don't throw the blood. Sometimes the blood spills. So the Adam, the witnesses, can't come and say, "Hey, by the way, what you did, you're going to get malchus now." They can't warn him. You can't warn a guy and say, "Listen, you're going to be over on oisves benoi." Why? Because I don't know if he's going to throw the blood. Anytime you have a unknown in the warning, then it's not a good warning. Says Gemara. Vaz the Rava Tamei. And Rava goes according to his own shita. The Omar Rava. He Chullin ubena shlamen. If you have two animals, one, the mother is a mundane, a regular, typical animal that you would eat at home, but her son is a carbon shlamen. The mother is a regular animal. The son is shlamim. Shachat chulim v'achakach shachat shlamim. If they shechted the regular animal and then they shechted shlamim inside the Beis Hamikdash, potter. This goes according to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Why a potter? Potter from Oisev is benai, because when you shechted the mother, the shechita doesn't count. Sorry, the shechita of the son of the shlamim doesn't count. Yeah, potter. So the shechita of the second one doesn't count. Shlamim v'achkach chulin. But if you shech the shlamim first, and then you shech the chulin, chayav. Why? Because over here you have a asras vaday. You're saying definite because there's no zrikas adam by the chulin. I'm not concerned that maybe throw the blood, maybe you won't throw. There's no throwing blood. But listen to this. It changes when we're talking about an oila. By shlamim, there's one halacha. Oila is another halacha. Why? Because when it comes to shlamim, there's a part that you eat, there's a part you don't eat. When it comes to oila, there's no parts that you eat. The whole thing goes on the mizbeach. So what happened? You shechted the shlamim inside the Beis Hamikdash. If you shecht the chulin first, and then you shecht the shlamim second, it's a hasra safek. I don't know if he's going to do zrikas adam or not. But if you shecht the shlamim first, and you threw the blood, so Mela, now when it comes to the chulin, it's hasra zvadei. Says the Gemara, but when it comes to an oila, he chulin ibn oila, loy mebay shachat chulin v'achkach shachat oila, the potter. Certainly, if you shech the chulin and then you shech the oila, over there it's for sure hasra safek, because I don't know if he's going to pour the blood or not. Says no, Israel says benoi daf pei aleph amud beis, Ella, afilu shachat doila, v'achkach shachat chulin. In both cases, you potter. Ella afilu shachat doila, even if you shachat doila first, v'achkach shachat chulin, potter. Why? Shchita kamaisilav shchita basachili. Since it's not counted as a shchita. Why is it not counted as a shchita? Because nobody gets to eat the meat. And we said that in order for shchita to count, it has to accomplish that you could eat. And since by oila, no one is eating the oila because the entire thing goes on the mizbeach, so it didn't accomplish eating. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yaakov, I love this. He says, no. What do you mean nobody ate? The mizbeach ate. We know when it comes to pigul, we're not going to go into the sugi of pigul, so don't worry about it. Pigul just means that when a kohen has a thought, as he's shechting, as he's doing one of the avodas, he's thinking that the animal, the carbon, is going to be eaten outside of its allotted time. So let's say you're allowed to eat it for 2 days. He thinks that in 3 days from now, he's going to eat the steak. But it's more than that. If you look at this chart, there's 4 types of eating when it comes to carbon. There's the zrikas hadam, throwing the blood on the mizbech is a type of eating. It's a type of food for the mizbech. Putting the imurim, the parts that you put on the mizbech, the fat, the kidney, whatever you put on the mizbech, that's also eating of the mizbech. The mizbech is, so to speak, eating those imurim. So Mela, oila also has eating. It's a shchita that accomplished that you could eat, that the mizbech could eat. What's the pshat? A double lashon. Achila, achila. Ha'choil ye'ochel. Shlamov. Torah is talking about 2 different types of eating. Echad achilas adam, v'echad achilas mizbeach. It's not just when you eat a steak. It's also when the mizbeach eats the imurim or the zrikas adam. Rabbi said, "Givaldik sugi now." Hashoichet v'nimsa treifa. If you shecht, according to Reb Shimon, that the shechita has to be a shechita that accomplishes that you could eat it. So what if you shecht the animal and you find that you can't eat it? It's a treifa. Hashoichet l'avodah zara. You can't eat this animal because you shechted it for avodah zara, and avodah zara is also bahana. V'hashoichet paras chatos v'shar haniskal. If you shecht the para aduma, so it's not available for eating. The para aduma v'shar haniskal. Not only eat the shar haniskal if bezdin paskin that it's a chayiv misa, etc. The egla arufa. Should we show the egla arufa? Hold on a second. It's kind of long. It's a lot of stuff. If you find a person dead between 2 cities, you measure, you don't know what it is, you measure the closest city, has to bring an egla arufa, the calf, and you decapitate it, and you say, Yedenu lo shafkus nadam hazeh, kaper la'amcho Yisrael sh'pdisa.
ידינו לא שפכו את הדם הזה, ועינינו לא ראו.
כפר לעמך ישראל, אשר פודיתו.
So Reb Shimon says in all of these, there's no oisev is benoi when the meat is not available to eat. The shechita doesn't count. Chacham say no. There's still oisev is benoi in such a case. If you shecht and you did the wrong move, you did one of the things that caused the shechita not to be a shechita, like you did shehiyah, chalad, or whatever it is. You rip out the simanim, you chop the simanim, you're not shechting. Pater mishum oisev es benoi. Oisev es benoi is only when you shecht. Oisev es benoi lo yisishchatu b'yoyim echad. You're not allowed to shecht, but if you kill the mother, then you're allowed to shecht the son that same day. Zog the Hele Gemara. Now it's beautiful. Omer Reb Shimon Lakish says Rish Lakish. What happened? A person shechts an animal for avodah zara. Now remember, when it comes to oisev es benoi, you're only chayiv on the second animal. You're always allowed to shecht the mother. On a regular day, on a Monday, you're allowed to shecht the mother. You're just not allowed to shecht the son after you shecht the mother. But on the mother, you don't get an isser. The isser is when you shecht the second one. If you shecht the son, you're not allowed to shecht the mother. The isser would be on the mother. So what happens by Avodah Zarah? Think about it. There's a concept called Kinlei b'derabbanei, meaning that if you do a certain Avera, let's say a person murders somebody, and while he murders him, the bullet rips the shirt. As an example, I don't know if this is the real thing, but since you're chayiv misa for killing, for murdering, you don't pay for the shirt. You only pay for you only get one, it's not double jeopardy really, but you only get one punishment, and you get the larger of the two punishments. Oh. So when it comes to Avodah Zarah, a person gets misa for Avodah Zarah. So you wouldn't be chayev on oisves benoi. But that's only if the Avodah Zarah is on the second animal. If the first animal is the Avodah Zarah animal, which is there's no isser of oisves benoi on the first animal, and in the second animal there's no Avodah Zarah, then this halacha doesn't apply, says the Gemara. Sorry, that's when it applies. That's the only time it could apply. The first one is Avodah Zarah, the second one is not. But if the first one is a regular animal, the second one is Avodah Zarah, Potter. Why? The kinlei b'derabbanei. You hear what's going on here? It's a murdic thing. That if a person is chayiv on animal number 2 for Avodah Zarah, he can't be chayiv for oisav his benoi. That's a much smaller isser, and we're not going to count it. He's not going to get malchus for that. Rabbi Yochanan says, even a child knows this halacha. Oh. There is a case where even though the second animal was the Avodah Zarah animal, you still chayiv for oisav his benoi. How's it possible? You can go in the Asr Bey Mishum oisav his benoi, but Asr Bey Mishum Avodah Zarah. So here's a beautiful machlokes. If a person commits an Aveira that has 2 components to it, like in our case, component A is the Avodah Zarah, component B is the oisav his benoi. But the Eidim only warned him on the lesser of the 2. The Eidim said, you're over on oisav his benoi. They didn't realize that he's doing Avodah Zarah. They didn't care about Avodah Zarah, whatever the thing is. Do we say the fact is the Maisa at the end of the day he did Avodah Zarah and he did oisav his benoi? So what if he wasn't warned? This is an Aveira that has a larger component to it. He shouldn't be chayiv for that, for even the smaller component. Or no, since the Eidim ignored the larger one, let's be mechayiv this guy at least for the smaller one. So that's a machlokes between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. She says, had they done Hasra, he would have been Potter. So even if they didn't do Hasra, he's also Potter. Says the Gemara, they argue in the same exact thing somewhere else. The Gemara is going to say, why do I need them to argue in 2 places? And that's the end of the Amud. The Chazarah of Dimi Omar. Here's the case. A person is, if he would do it deliberately, he would be chayiv misa, but he did it by mistake. Same thing, he would be chayiv malchus, but shoygig. And he did, let's say, he stole a piece of meat that's in a nevela. So he's chayiv on the stealing, and he's chayiv on the nevela. So there's a component of a monetary component. Because he stole it, he has to pay. He's chayev for the money part. Potter. And Rav Shlomo says he's Potter. Why? At the end of the day, there's no hasra, so you have to pay. The kivin, but it's a case that had they warned him, he would have been chayev a much larger amount, a much larger thing. So therefore, you don't pay the smaller thing. Had they warned him on the misa part, he wouldn't have had to pay. So it's kilo. It's as if they warned him and he's potter. Or it's that kind of aveira that there's a large component, a small component. He's potter. So the Gemara Tzrich, I need both cases. Our case by a person who's shechs for Avodah Zarah, and the case over there where there's a money component. If If it only talks about somebody that's shechsfa with the zara, b'hakamer Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Over here, there's a misa, which affects the body, and there's malchus, which affects the body. So that's why Reb Shimon ben Lakish says, you potter. But when we have to just pay money, maybe he'll be massing that she should pay. If it only says the case of the money, so that he has to pay the small amount. But when it comes to the malchus and the misa, two things that have to do with a person's body. Maybe you'd agree that he's potter. I need the two arguments. Rabboisai, have a wonderful day. Regards from Yavon. Zeigezon.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDY.com.